All right, let's start our next session. We're going to talk a lot about international governance. We're talking about international worldwide pickleball, and we're going to continue on that path here because that's the topic of the weekend, pretty much. One of the founders, you've mentioned, you've probably seen or heard Seymour a few times yesterday, and also presented him with one of our Golden Pickle Awards. We've got a few more to present later this afternoon, and we're excited about that. So Seymour Rifkind is the founder of the World Pickleball Federation, and he was one of my first interviews in pickleball back in the day. I don't know, we say back in the day. And Matt was there. I think it was a Zoom call because we were still right out of COVID. So I launched a TV show, not the best time of the world during COVID in pickleball. But I remember my first interview was with Lee and Annalee Waters, who live in Delray Beach, and they had just won she was 12 and won the national championships. So their first time out of the house after COVID, I interviewed them from here across the net. Couldn't get too close to them. And I think we wore masks, and then we took the mask off and then put the mask back on. So that was an interesting first interview. And I hadn't even touched a pickleball pad. I was a tennis player. Didn't know how to play pickleball. So Annalee and Lee Waters went out there, put a little demonstration on. But I'm a fast study. Steve Kennedy was one of my partners in doing our tips and stuff. So if you remember Steve Kennedy, one of the great champion early pickleball pioneers. I know you guys know Steve Kennedy, great guy. And unfortunately, he's had several surgeries now and is not competing anymore, but he played in a lot of my tournaments and was doing my tips. So a little history on that. But Riff was one of my first interviews. We're talking to him by Zoom. And he had a little bit more hair at that time. But we were talking about just, I think, the worldwide action, all the things you were doing, in pickleball. I mean, one of the early adapters and the pioneers of the sport. And he's a Hall of Famer now in the Pickleball Hall of Fame. We were trying to get the new mobile Pickleball Hall of Fame. If anybody see that at the U.S. Open? If you were at the U.S. Open? It was pretty cool. Went through it. They finally got that put together. Stu Upson's heading that up now. And they have a mobile Pickleball Hall of Fame with all the inductees. I saw your picture in there. You're in there on a plaque. And some of the memorabilia and so forth. So we were trying to get them to bring it here, but it's out west, so we weren't able to make this stop. But I think they're going to be at PickleCon next stop for the maybe somewhere else too. But that's a pretty cool idea. But get back to Riff. So excited about Riff talking about the World Pickleball Federation, and also the big news. If you haven't heard, they've merged with Marlon Schulman's here representing International Pickleball Federation as an advisor and a board member, and they've been working. We're talking about consolidation and governance and talking about bringing the sport together. And we saw Javier Regalado here with the Global Pickleball Federation. So 3 federations, now 2 federations. And they were all sitting there talking at the table, and that's where it starts. And they've been talking for a while. I mean, obviously, there's things to iron out and work things out whenever you're merging companies and thoughts and ideas. And so we're going to hear from these 2 gentlemen who got together, talked, merged, and now we're working together instead of against each other. And that's what it takes, getting together. So let's start with Riff. Maybe just give a little background about yourself, and just you got a presentation, so you want to run through that, and we'll have Marlon talk, and then we'll take questions.
Well, thank you, Carl, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think, as everybody has discovered, one of the most important topics today and yesterday is the importance of one international governing body. This is something that takes 3 people, 3 organizations to put aside their differences and work towards what's good and best for pickleball. I'm happy to say that 2 organizations have now done that. So from our perspective, pickleball wins. It's not a matter of an organization winning and somebody losing. It's about doing what's best for our sport. One of the things that people don't really understand is that even with IPF, we've tried over a 2-year period of time, several times, and things didn't work out. Last November, Arvin and I, who's the president of IPF, got together. We had a meeting of the minds, and we said, look, we need to make this work. And a transition team was put together, of which Marlon was on that team representing IPF. And over a 7-month period of time, they worked every week, sometimes twice a week, in order to get to where we are today. So first I need to congratulate Marlon, his entire team, and of course that of WPF for doing what's absolutely necessary. I also want to make everyone aware that we have well over 100 countries currently between the two organizations. When we had our Zoom call on the 14th, we had unanimous, every single country approved this. Every single country in pickleball recognizes pickleball wins when we get to one international governing body. So it's important that we all understand the work that was done, and we welcome GPF to come along as well, and I'll get to that in just a little bit. In order for this to work, to meet the International Olympic Committee guidelines, we brought on one of the most reputable and well-respected consultants in the world. His name is Mike Jackie. Mike Jackie ran 3 different international sport federations. He got every single one of them into the Olympics. He was kind enough to spend, like I said, 7 months, sometimes twice a week, working with 2 competing organizations and in getting them to where we are today. So Mike's not here, but I'm forever grateful to the work that he's done in order to try to get us to where we are today. It's important that we understand that the new unified WPF is already 100% compliant. Everything that was done, our new bylaws have already been passed through several key members at the IOC. We, from the start, put together the best practices in governance, because that's what the IOC is looking for. One of the things that's important is that the Olympic Charter has a motto: one country, one vote. Sure, there's a couple that are exceptions. Those sports have been out for a very long time. The current thinking at the IOC is simply that: one country, one vote. Other items that were important is avoiding conflicts of interest with any of the members that may be on the board, ensuring that the board cannot self-appoint other board members. This is something that has been done with some organizations since the dawn of time. A true democratic system is when member countries have the power. Member countries do the voting. Additional steps regarding the unification. We are registering in Lucerne, which is oftentimes referred to as the Olympic City. We want to make certain, because we have many duplicate NGBs in different countries, we know that there are some duplicates between World Pickleball Federation and IPF. One of the first orders of business once our board is elected, which will happen August 30th, the current board, including myself and Arvind Prabhu, the 2 presidents, will be removed, and an entirely new board will be voted in. Applications are currently being accepted. Again, 100% transparent, 100% democratic, 100% true governance via the IOC Charter. It's extremely important, and I think Paul mentioned this, that when you have 3 international federations, one NGB, name a country, could apply to World Pickleball Federation. We could deny them for any number of reasons. Some reasons are they're not a non-for-profit organization. They don't have at least 3 board members. They don't have a separate bank account. You know, in the 12 or 13 years that I've been involved in pickleball, there has been explosive growth. That's the positive. There's a negative that goes along with that as well. The negative is there are those people that love the game, are passionate about the game, and are trying to do everything they can to get the game to grow. Not just in numbers and quantity, but in quality. There are also those that see an opportunity to make money. There's absolutely nothing wrong with making money as long as the services you provide or the products you provide are of the highest quality. And when it comes to NGBs, and for those that don't know, that means national governing body. Okay? Every country should have one national governing body. If a national governing body applied to WPF and didn't meet our requirements, guess what happened? They just went over and tried to apply at IPF or tried to apply at Global Pickleball Federation. So we know we have some of those. It's one of the first orders of business. We have to get that cleared up so that there truly is one national governing body per country, just like there is one international federation. And we've got a committee that needs to be formed. Once our board is voted in on August 30th, it's a very, very important part of the application process. I think I've mentioned in a couple of interviews prior to this that there are probably 300 to 400 pages of documentation that needs to be submitted to the IOC. One of the most important ones is WADA. We need to be a signatory of WADA. We've already got 100 pages completed. Our entire document is done. It's already been approved. We just need to pay the fee. So there's already a lot of work that has already been done by the Unified World Pickleball Federation. We believe at the United World Pickleball Federation that we are not here to rule, we are here to serve. Serve our member countries, assist them at the grassroots to grow pickleball, assist them with competitions, provide to them best practices that we have learned, not necessarily just coming from the global federation, but from other countries. You've heard in some of the past discussions that Pickleball England, they actually had a tournament not of 1,000, but of 2,000 people. The largest tournament outside of the United States. Karen Mitchell is the president there. She's also a vice president on World Pickleball Federation and was on the transition team. All of us can learn from each other. It's by sharing best practices at the international level that we can help those that don't have access to businessmen that have been successful, additional funding. All of those things in our mind is part of the service that an international governing body provides. Yes, of course, it's about the rules. It's about equipment, but it's also about assisting other nations. It's not about ruling. It's not about controlling. It's about practicing great governance and helping. It's important to understand that the pathway to the IOC, the very first requirement, is that you need to have been in business a minimum of 5 years. The Unified World Pickleball Federation is the only organization that meets that first criteria. We are in the process right now of applying. If you don't have 5 years in business, you can't apply. You haven't met the first criteria. It's important also to understand that even though we've had many differences, I have nothing but the highest level of respect for Arvind Prabhu. I don't know the history, but he's in a wheelchair. And I think he's been in a wheelchair for quite some time. Is that right?
Since he was 20 years old.
Since he was 20 years old. And this is a gentleman that gives from his heart at all times. Passionate about pickleball, loves pickleball, bends over backwards, just as all of us at WPF and the United WPF do. And when you have respect for current leadership and you have trust in current leadership, magical things can happen. If you don't have that trust, you're losing before you even leave the starting gate, in my opinion. We still have one other organization, GPF, who you've heard from yesterday with Javier, and I like Javier. I think Javier is a gentleman. What we need to understand is a little bit of the history of how and why did GPF form in the first place. Some of this, I think, was brought up, I don't remember if it was by Paul or somebody else, but originally there was the IFP. IFP was the very first international organization which actually was developed around 2009, 2010. And primarily, it was made up of USAP board members. And they had an idea. You know, USAP, the game was invented here. USAP developed the initial rules. They've done a lot of great work. And they had this idea, why don't we try to grow the game internationally? And I give them a lot of credit for that. What they did not do, however, is have any understanding of what an international federation needs to be. They did not have the type of representation that is required. International means we have 5 continents. We need to have people on 5 continents. Now, back in the day, we probably didn't have participation on some of those continents. But there's an opportunity. I personally have gone to 40 countries and introduced pickleball. In addition to introducing it, in 2020, when we developed World Pickleball Day, we gave away $100,000 worth of equipment. It was brought up, what has the organization done? Look at the facts. Well, let's look at some facts. In 2019, Javier is from Mexico. World Pickleball Federation sanctioned and provided funds for the first, and to my knowledge, only international junior tournament. We had 85 or 90 juniors from the United States, Canada, and Mexico competing. In 2019, we provided the funds and the sanctioning for the first English Open, for the first Asian Open, for the first international tournament in Brazil. So if you take a look at the actions that have been taken, there can be no doubt the Unified World Pickleball Federation, which now has Bainbridge Cup under its wing as well, has done more than any federation. Most importantly, in 2022, WPF brought 8 professional players to Israel. We did that because we got accepted as an exhibition sport at the Maccabi Games. The Maccabi Games is the 3rd largest international sporting event in the world. 10,000 athletes. We did exhibitions at 4 different tennis centers during the competition and in the streets in Tel Aviv and Haifa. The following year, 2023, World Pickleball Federation brought 7 pros to China. That's where the Asian Games were held. Again, another international Olympic Committee sanctioned event. We did exhibitions there. Our first exhibition was at the Badminton Olympic Arena, a nationally televised event. Within the first half hour, we had 4.8 million people tune in. 4.8 million. That's double anything that's been done in the United States. We then did another exhibition at a very famous architectural wonder called the Water Cube, which is the Olympic swimming and diving arena. They have 2 gymnasiums in that facility as well. This was a special invitation only, 200 government officials at the highest level. And at the conclusion of that exhibition and some meetings that followed, the president of the Sports Bureau in China made a statement that was picked up by a number of international media releases. He said simply this: we will have 100 million people playing pickleball in the next 5 years. You've already heard about the explosive growth that is taking place worldwide. I simply quoted a document that was released by US Gov, which is a government source out of Singapore. And I personally was criticized for it. This isn't something I made up. This is an actual document that was released. Sometimes I think we in the United States are so in tune simply with what's going on in the United States that we have blinders to the rest of the world.
What was the quote from? What was the number?
The numbers were staggering. 173 million people are playing pickleball frequently, as defined by at least once a month in India. 60 million people are playing pickleball in China. 16 million are playing pickleball in Vietnam. 88% of the people, the entire population of Vietnam, are aware of pickleball. Now, I've been to every one of these countries. Somebody said, well, they don't have the courts for that. Well, you're right, they don't have the courts. But guess what? Pickleball can be played in parking lots. Pickleball can be played in the streets. Pickleball can be played in gymnasiums. Pickleball is played on badminton courts. Pickleball is played in the dirt in Africa. I've seen it. Are they dedicated, beautiful courts like we have in the United States? No. Will they be? Absolutely. I was in Malaysia 4 months ago. I should have spoken up at our last group of speakers that were talking about franchises and facilities. Because what I saw in Kuala Lumpur blew me away. I landed in Kuala Lumpur at 8 o'clock. Somebody had sent me a video. They told me it was about 15 minutes from the airport. So I asked my colleagues if they were familiar with this place. They said, yeah. I'd like to go see it. I went to see this indoor facility, 22 courts, a bar on one end, a bar on the other end. I got there at 9 o'clock at night. The entire facility, every single court was booked. Everybody that was playing was between the ages of 25 and 35. Between the court, there were young girls dancing and jiving to the music, drinking a beer, having fun. When the court was open, they'd go play pickleball. It was unbelievable. I stayed there for about an hour, and I just couldn't get over the vibe that I had just witnessed. All these young people all playing pickleball. And I asked a couple of people, how did this happen? Because Malaysia had only been exposed to pickleball for 1 year. 1 year. The answers I got make sense now. See, they don't go to the single bars anymore. It's intimidating. Pickleball is welcoming. They go to the pickleball courts, and they can have a beer, and they can get on the court, and they can meet new people. And then if they like each other, then they'll work on a date. It's the new place to meet people. They have social influencers, beautiful women all over the place. And they may not play pickleball, but they're taking pictures of them at a facility in the most up-to-date activewear, looking cool. And all their friends, they have followers, millions of followers. So you're wondering, how is this possible? Well, it's possible because they have a sport that was introduced the way many sports or most sports are introduced around the world, with the young and then moving up. Here in the United States, we have what's referred to as a top-down effect. Why is it that we got this stigma that pickleball is for old people? Well, it's because our first wave of growth was all the people in the Pacific Northwest that had been playing pickleball for years, and then when they retired, they went to 55-plus communities in California, Arizona, and Florida. And the first thing they looked for was pickleball. Where are the pickleball courts? Well, there were no pickleball courts. But it was that initial exodus of people that went to these 55-plus communities that introduced pickleball, and then everybody started playing. So this initial wave was all amongst the senior sect until COVID, and we all know what happened then. That became the second wave. And the third wave, I have to give credit. And that credit goes to MLP and Steve Kuhn and APA as well. Because when you hear that Tom Brady owns a team and is playing pickleball, and you hear that LeBron James is playing pickleball, and I know that Michael Jordan plays pickleball every single day, and Agassi is playing pickleball, all these people go, what the hell's pickleball? I got to go check this out. And we all know what happens once you check it out. We invite GPF to come back to the table. All I can say is this. We've tried 3 times. The first time was in 2022 and ended in January of 2023. 9 countries led by the United States left what was at that time the IFP. And they formed what was called the Unified Pickleball Task Force. And they reached out to WPF and they said, look, we all want to join WPF. Well, 7 of the 9 already were members. Who wasn't a member was the United States and one other country that I don't recall. And one of the things that they wanted to do was to have our bylaws updated, which we all totally agreed to. Over a 4-month period of time, we got all of our bylaws updated. Everybody was happy. What would have been our last meeting, or maybe the second to last meeting, we had a representative that was representing the United States and simply came out and said, we're going to start over and we want a whole new set of bylaws. And we said, what are you talking about? What have we just done for the past 4 months? We've got a set of bylaws that everybody agrees to. Well, I'm sorry, I'm just a messenger, but our board said that we need a whole new set of bylaws. And the United States walked away. And 3 days later, Global Pickleball Federation started. Last year, Mike Polisky, who's the president of the APP, contacted 5 confederations in pickleball and said, we need to get the 3 organizations together. Arvin was contacted, I was contacted, and Javier was contacted. 2 of the 3 immediately said yes. Global said no. What's the common theme here? 2 organizations made it happen. Were there struggles? Yes. Were there heated moments? Yes. But we came and did what was best for pickleball. Now, we've got a lot of business people here, people that are sharp with numbers. We learned in our morning session that there's 2 organizations. The first is USA Pickleball, that is currently controlling all of the paddle approvals, not just in the United States, which is their right, but worldwide. The comment was made that there are 1,700 paddles that were approved last year alone at a price of anywhere between $5,000 and $8,000. Do the math. You're talking about millions of dollars that USA Pickleball currently gets because of the paddle testing. Do you think they want to lose all that money and give it to an international governing body? When you have 2 and 3 parties, and there are always going to be issues, but one is always walking away from the table, there has to be an underlying theme. You've got power, you got ego, you got control, you got money. All we ask is that you align on the bylaws, which we know right now are all IOC and Democratic. GPFs are not. I hate to tell all of us that are Americans that are under the guidance of USA Pickleball, theirs is not either. Never has been. You cannot control the board. This has to be by members, countries. It has to be a full democratic process. That's not too much to ask. 2 simple requirements that every single sport that is a member of the International Olympic Committee follow. I want to raise one of the biggest concerns that nobody seems to be talking about, and I shared this 7 years ago. As much as we have a threat, and as much as we have issues because we don't have one international federation, I'm going to throw out a bigger threat. If we don't have one international federation, the IOC can simply say, we like pickleball. I know they do. Men and women are treated equally. They don't have to build a $300 or $400 million stadium in order to get that sport into the Olympics. They love the idea that our fastest growing segment is young people. They have the power to simply say, we're going to accept pickleball in the Olympics. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. You don't have an international federation that is competent, so we're going to decide what pickleball is going to be under. That precedent has already been done. Can you imagine if tennis takes over pickleball? Do you think we're a threat to tennis? How many think we're a threat to tennis? Raise your hand. Do you think they like the idea that they're losing courts every single day to pickleball? Do you think they like the idea that some of their biggest stars are out there playing pickleball? Do you think they like the idea that there are more people playing pickleball now than tennis? I heard from the horse's mouth 8 years ago, a USTA board member said we could take over pickleball anytime we want. And initially, they just thought it was a fad. It's no fad. We need to govern ourselves. We need one international federation. All of you are influencers. We need Global Pickleball Federation to come. We need USAP to recognize that the sport is too big for any one country or 2 countries to control the international federation. That will never be acceptable. Thank you.
Thanks, Griff. All right, yeah, we're behind, so let's go. Come on, Marlon.
I'm gonna take just 2 minutes.
Sorry.
No. I would never try to interfere with what you have to say. You are one of the bedrocks of this entire sport. I will say this. I had an entire hit list that I could talk about GPF, about this, that, about GPF, about this, about that. I don't have the time. And why don't I have the time? Because we were only given 30 minutes as opposed to everyone else that had 45 minutes. I'd like to find out who controlled that, what organization controlled that, and what stopped our voicing of what's going on. Why were we put on right after lunch as opposed to in the thick of things when we could have a full room? In any event, our PowerPoint slides are available. at any time to anyone, just contact me or Riff. Riff and I are available. I came back from India after helping to launch the World Pickleball League and going to testing facilities. It's berserk what's going on in Asia. Anyone that tells you anything other than that is flat out wrong or in denial. One organization can happen. Javier's a class guy. I hope we can believe everything he's saying, but it's not in his hands. I wrote articles personally that attacked Riff over the last couple of years, and he took it well, and we had serious disagreements. We put those aside. We understood each other, and we worked for 7 months to have one organization. And I'm damn proud that we did it for the benefit of the sport and the globe. There was an article in the New York Times, this will be the last thing. There was an article in the New York Times about 2-3 years ago. It said, "Pickleball can save the world." That's pasted up on my wall because I think despite all the crap that's going on in the world today, pickleball and what it represents and how we get along and how we can all make money also can save the world. That's all I have to say.
All right, thanks, Marlon.